A brute force attack is just as it sounds. This is a software tool very often which fires off huge volumes of passwords at a system until it eventually guesses the right combinations of numbers, letters, and characters, which is why you mustn't use the standard passwords that are often seen in films, such as password or admin. You need to change those. The way most security systems, of course, today overcome a brute force attack is by locking you out if you failed 3 times with your password attempts. But it is also the reason why it becomes exponentially harder to crack your password the more numbers, letters, and symbol combinations you have in there. Now, I think you'll find this table quite interesting because it shows you how long it takes, let's say, a current computer to hack your password. You can see that having just numbers in your passwords, and let's say you've gone mad and made your password 17 numbers long, it could take a committed hacker around 4 weeks to crack it. However, if your 17-digit password consists of a combination of 17 numbers, letters, and symbols, it would take the same computer around 93 trillion years to crack. So you can see how important it is to introduce symbols, numbers, and a variety of characters in your long password. All right, let's move on to BYOD. I did mention this before, but this is the whole concept of bring your own device, or the idea that the end user now has a number of different devices which they will use to access your corporate network. So most good large organizations with strong security strategies will have a BYOD strategy built into their security infrastructure. Now we're getting quite techie. As the name suggests, a code injection is a technique where the cyber attacker injects malicious code into the main software. It's sometimes referred to as remote code execution as well. The injected code is written in the same language as the one used to create the software. So programs which are really not properly tested or have poor data validation, they'll allow the injected code to freely move around the network and be executed in the server along with all the legitimate software code. Now, I'm not going to go crazy about all the subcategories of code injection here, but there are many ways of carrying out code injection. So there are different strategies. And you will see these on, again, CVs. An SQL injection, and I'm going to explain more about that later on. In fact, I'm going to explain all of these coding injection strategies later on. So cross-site scripting, command injection, and SMTP injections are all variations of the code injection theme. Check the lesson out. Now, gaining notoriety in the last decade is the dark web. And this is the place to carry out very often illegal transactions. This is, as the name suggests, the shady part of the internet, which exists as an encrypted domain. And it's invisible to traditional search engines. So it's not going to be indexed by engines such as Google. As a result, this is the meeting place and marketplace for clandestine transactions, including those who want to remain anonymous from the authorities. As a result, this is a place where illicit and contraband items are bought and sold, and it's a place very often where hackers will hang out. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but just in case you didn't catch it, the DDoS attack is the attack where the attacker commandeers hundreds or thousands of zombie computers to form that botnet. And then they will overwhelm a particular network or a server by flooding it with traffic. And that way, blocking up all its connection ports and basically making numerous server requests at the same time. What this does is exhausts all the resources of the company's servers, and effectively they get bogged down so they can't do anything else. This type of attack is categorized as a violation of activity because it prevents the attack machines from doing anything else. Now, I'm going to be speaking about digital forensics experts in the role section as well. So we're going to do this a bit more later on. But this is the whole area of analyzing, collecting, and presenting evidence that can be used in a legal court case to do with cybersecurity, of course. And it's a really huge up-and-coming field. So digital forensics experts, what they do is they gather the fragile data in the system, which can prove that a security breach has taken place. And then they will present that data, in effect, digital fingerprints or footprints to the authorities when the whole case goes to court. As I said, I'll explain this in much more detail later on. This is so cool. A DMZ, or a demilitarized zone, is essentially an extra layer of network which acts as a buffer between the valuable corporate data that you have and the public internet. So in this way, should something nasty creep into your network, it's going to have to go through your DMZ before it can reach the core network itself. Cyber criminals, they can't carry out even superficial reconnaissance of your real network because all harm they do is done to the DMZ. And that is not going to be a mission critical part of your network. So essentially a really nice buffer area. And the first thing that that DMZ will do is alert the security staff to the malicious software that is entering the system before it actually gets into any critical part of your network. Very cool. I want to talk now about endpoints, EDR, endpoint detection and response. So when cybersecurity people talk about endpoints, they are referring to the end of the network or the edge of the network, the place where you and I interact with the network. So endpoints are all the devices which you and I might use to interact with the corporate IT system. Anything like a PC, a laptop, or a smartphone. Unsurprisingly, these are also the entry points for most cyber attacks. As a result, there are security tools called EDR, or Endpoint Detection and Response Tools, which monitor activity at the endpoints, and they will flag up any suspicious activity at all. These are tools such as Cynet 360, Semantic Endpoint Protection, and FireEye Endpoint Security. So you're going to see those on CVs and jobs.